Hello and welcome to another tutorial. Today we're going to focus on full screen post-processing transitions specifically. You can use this technique to do lots of full screen post-processing, but we're going to focus on transitions. We're going to set up two scenes. We're going to transition between them using a few different types of transitions. We're going to make three of them. We're going to make like a zoom wipe kind of, a horizontal and vertical wipe, and then we'll make like a kind of a camera dissolve using a texture. So lots of different options and lots of cool things to learn. It's going to be a three-part tutorial. The first part, we are going to set up a script to enable post-processing using Amplify Shader Editor. And then the second, we're going to actually use Amplify to set up a camera fade transition shader, and we're going to use it. The second part, we're going to set up the camera fades across two scenes. And then the third part, we're going to actually make a couple different transitions that we can use however we want. Obviously, in a game, you probably don't want like 8 different transitions, but for this purpose, I think it's a good time to show you how to, make a few different ones as opposed to just one simple one. So yeah, let's get started. I have a brand new scene here. The first thing we're gonna have to do is set up a small, very simple script. It's like 6 lines of code or something. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach that to our camera, and that is going to allow us to put a material in it, and that material is going to use the shader, which in turn is going to, I should say, not in term, is going to allow us to actually do the transition of the scenes. So let's make a new folder, and we will call it full screen transition. Open that up, and we're going to create a new C# script. We'll call it custom post processing, because that's essentially what it's doing. It's a script that's going to allow us to attach post processing to any camera that we want. So let's open that up. So the purpose of this script is essentially to take the render that we get out of the shader and overlay it onto the camera, or use it instead of what the camera sees. So we're going to want to take in a material. So public material, and we can call it post processing material. Then we can do, I need a capital M there, of course. So public material. And then what we can do is we can just create so this is a universal function that we can use that essentially does what I said before, where it takes whatever texture we are putting into it and uses it as the output for the camera. So pretty simple. We just say if, well, actually what we're going to do is we're going to create a bool up here as well, and we're going to set it to let's set it to true for now. Well, no, let's just say use post processing. If we don't do this, it's going to use this every frame. So we'll just set it to false for now. And then here, we're going to say if use post-processing and the post-processing material does not equal null, because if it does equal null, we do not want to use it. That would be bad. So graphics.blit. We're going to say source. We're going to say destination. And we're going to say the material. And that's it. That's all that is. Pretty simple. So we can go ahead and back into Unity, and we will just go ahead and recompile, and we're going to go to our full screen set transition where we got the custom post-processing script that we just made. And we're going to throw that right on the camera here. Oh, I have my old one here. I'm going to remove that. Just want the new one. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to now create a material that this will use. So let's go back to our folder here. We're just going to create a material, and we will call it, let's go with fade transition. That's the first one we're going to make here. So, oops. Fade transition. Okay, so go to our camera, and we'll drag that fade transition into the material slot. And nothing will happen yet. You can see in our game, nothing's happening. It's just how it's always been. So we are now going to go ahead and create a Amplify Shader. So we're going to go to Amplify Shader. We're going to open a canvas, drag it over here somewhere. We'll put it on the bottom just so we can see the differences that happen. Okay. And instead of having surface here, we're going to select legacy. We're going to go post-process. And it's just going to give us one output. So there's a few things we need to add here in order for this to work. We need to use what's called a template parameter. Okay, and we're going to use screen. And we are going to, actually that's all we got to do there, that's easy. And then we're going to get a texture sample like usual. It's got to be one of the most used nodes. And then we're going to multiply that by, here's what we're going to multiply it by. For the first transition, I think what we're going to do is we're just going to make a simple fade. So this is a really, really easy one. All we got to do is make this. So we'll make a float, we'll make it a property, and we'll call it fade. Okay, and then we will go, we'll make it a value from 0 to 1. That way it turns into a slider just for easy testing. And we're going to connect that here, and we're going to, so we're going to multiply that by, essentially this is what the screen sees. And we're going to multiply it by this texture that we created out of what this screen sees. And then if we multiply it by the fade, well, I'll show you in a sec here. So let's go ahead and save this as, yeah, fade transition. Okay, so I've got fade transition saved there. I'll go back to my material now. And in my material, I will go and I will select the fade transition. Okay, and that's pretty simple. And now what'll happen is we will be able to fade the screen. And the way we do that is that we have the fade transition put into this custom post-processing. Now, here's the problem. We created that bool, and we're going to actually make that public for now. Because right now it's actually not doing anything because that bool is set to false. If we enable it, however, I believe this should work. And it's not working. Well, isn't that great? Okay, so there's something that I am doing wrong here. We should actually see black right now, which is the funny thing. What are we missing? I think this is all correct. We're using the post-processing. We've set it to true. Well, here, let's go ahead and play. Maybe, yeah, you know what? I bet you that's why this isn't working. We probably have to do it in play. Yeah, so we have this black screen right now. And if we go back to our material and we bring it up, oh, look at that. It is now no longer black. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to reverse this because the value that I chose is called fade. I mean, I could name it something different as well, but I'm going to choose to remap this instead. And I'm going to remap 0 to 1 to 1 to 0. Okay, and that way, when fade is at 1, it's actually black. Okay, so there you go, a full screen transition. Just like that. We're going to make a couple really cool ones, but first, in part 2, which is coming up right away, we are going to switch from scene 1 to scene 2. So I'll make 2 scenes, and we'll kind of get it animated. Like, we'll just make a simple button or something that just says switch scenes, and we'll make it animated, and yeah, it'll be really cool. So stick around for that.